Hey there, welcome back friends. In this video we will talk about couple of more things related to the Spring MVC pattern. Alright, so in our last video we have created the controller, the main controller, where firstly we are loading the form in our base URL, and then we are submitting the form, and the form submission is handled by this particular method, right? Display user info method. Cool enough, nice enough. Alright, so now moving forward, let us also check the model. So what is a model? Model is nothing but a class which will contain the data. So in our form there were two fields by the name of name and gender, and this particular class object was containing the information which we received from the form. And finally, let me also show you the view files. So firstly we have the user form view, where we have this very simple looking form, and the action is based on display user info, which is this particular post mapping. And apart from that, the model attribute has the name user, right? So this is important. In here, user is what? User is object of our model user, right? And by taking help of this object we are giving couple of paths, and these paths are nothing but your variable name. The variable name is name and gender. Now friends, in the background what happens is, when the user will submit the form, then in here the setter method, the set name and set gender method would be called by Spring automatically. So this is important. So using these setter method, the submission of the form will actually happen, and this user object will start containing the form data. Now once we submit the form, the data will be passed to this particular method, and we need to pass on this user object, and Spring will smartly create a user object and pass it to this method, because this method is the method which is handling the form submission. Understanding my point? So Spring will smartly handle all of this in the background. It will create the object, it will wrap the data, it will submit the data to the appropriate method based on action, and that method will receive the object. And finally, once we get the object, we can do anything using the object. As of now we are not doing much with the object, but we can do anything with the object. Now in here, this particular annotation, model attribute annotation, is optional. This can be used, and indeed even if we get rid of this annotation, Spring will smartly identify that the type of object we have passed as user. As a result, this object needs to be passed to the submitted method. As a result, Spring will smartly identify that this user object is nothing but the object which is containing the form data. This is nothing but the model attribute. So again, this model attribute annotation is optional. Let me get rid of it. And we will also get rid of this system.out.println statement, and as of now we are simply displaying the information. No rocket science. This is nice. Alright, now friends, in here in our display user info.jsp file, let me do some stuff. In here I will say name colon, and we will display user.name. Now again, this name is what? This name is nothing but the variable, right? So this is nice. And whenever we make use of this particular notation where we call in user.name, indeed in the background we will be calling in the getter method, right? So take a note of it. In here again, let me add a paragraph tag, and in here we will type in gender colon. Again, it would be like making use of the expression language, and it would be like user.gender. Alright, so now things are looking good to me. Let me save the changes. Good enough. Alright, so this is good. Now moving forward, let us quickly show you the form. So in here, if I show you this form, then here we are making use of radio button. Now there is one more thing. Let me quickly show you. So if I simply type in form colon and I show you the options, one of the option is also radio buttons. Now this radio buttons option will help us to generate dynamic radio buttons, and this is very handy as well. We can control the overall flow using the controller itself. So that is something which we will see in just a minute. First of all, let us quickly check whether our existing application with these small little changes is working or not, and once we test it out, we will again check the concept of radio buttons in just a minute. Let me also check quickly. This model attribute import is not required now. Let me get rid of it. Here we go. All right, the application is up and running. Let me add in my name, gender male. This is doing some background processing because I have removed removed the unrequired import. Again, let me add in my name and gender male. Let me submit, and here is the output. Perfect. So this is nice. This is good that our application is working just fine. Now moving forward, let me close all of these tabs and let me reopen the form. Here we go. Now in here, whenever we make use of radio buttons, we need to pass on a map, and based on the map, our gender form will be generated. Now how exactly this will work, let me show you. So the first step is adding a map, and that map would be added to the controller. So this particular method is responsible for generating or calling in the view, user form view, and because this controller is responsible for loading the view, we need to create an object directly inside this method. So let us quickly do that. So it would be like map, and it would be map of string, comma string. We will give the name as gender equals new hash map, for example. Here we go. And it would be again a hash map of type string, comma string. That's it. Let me add in the required package, and now let me quickly add in the values. So it would be like gender dot put. Right now, when we add in these values, it would be like in the form of key value pair. Now the key would be, for example, male, and the value would be male, and these would be in the form of a string. This looks good. Let me copy this entire thing and paste it once again. Now the key would be female and value would be female again. Good enough. And finally we need to add in the object to our model and view object. So it would be like model and view dot add object, and we will give the name of the attribute as a gender, and the object would be again gender. No rocket science, very simple. We are simply creating a map and passing the map to our model and view object. Very simple. Now this particular object gender is now available to this view. Good enough. And now what we will do, we will get rid of these two lines, and in here we will type in form colon radio buttons. Alright, so firstly it is path, which is gender for sure. This gender is what? This gender is nothing but attribute of our model, or property of our model, gender. And finally there is one more thing which we need to use. Let me show you. So if I try to autocomplete like this, there are like couple of more attributes. There are like many more attributes, and there is one of the attribute as items, right? And in here we will make use of expression language, and in here we will pass on the object gender. Good enough. Now this gender is nothing but this particular map. In fact, let me update the name as gender map. That will reduce the confusion. So it would be like gender map good enough, and it would be again gender map. So this will reduce the confusion furthermore. All right, this looks good. All right, now moving forward, let me quickly run this application, and I'm pretty sure that it should run perfectly. Here we go. There is some kind of error. Let me check what's the error. Alright, so let me analyze that what's going wrong. There is some kind of error, I suppose, with our syntax. Let me also show you the console real quick. Line number 15, unterminated tag. Cool enough. Alright, the issue is related to this comma. I have by mistake added it, so it is not required. Let me rerun this application, and I'm pretty sure that this time we won't get any issue and our application will work. Here we go. Perfect. So this female and male, these names, how Spring is generating these male and female. The male and female, these words are coming from this map, male and female, the values, right? And male and female, where male and female are all lowercase, is nothing but the key value using which we can access the map, right? So take a note of it, and let me again expand it. So for example, I type in male and give my name and submit, then the key is male, right? So all lowercase. Take a note of it. So this is how we can like handle stuff, and this is how our application is running with help of radio buttons. Alright, so in our next video we will like check a couple of more things related to Spring MVC. Couple of more Spring elements will be explored in our next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day and take care.